It's a logical nonsense. Even if there were more parties than one, Communist Party will never be elected in my country for a very simple reason. We are not that dumb. We may look dumb if we drink too much vodka, but believe me, my people are not that crazy to vote their own murderers to power. Instead, we'll take them to court, like Nazis were taken after the Second World War. We charge them with mass murder and we will execute them. And they know it perfectly well. That's why there were never free elections in my country, and to that matter in any other country of the world. Not a single communist on this planet ever came to power as a result of free election. They always come to power through deceit and lie and terror. Shooting and lying, lying and shooting. That's how they come to power. To support obvious lie, they give you all that baloney. You see, tall buildings built in Moscow. Sure, so what? What does it say about the system? They never noticed tall buildings in South Africa because it's a racist regime. All right? Tall buildings in Moscow, that's a different story. Green fields of Soviet collective farms. Yes, it is true. They are green. What do you expect them to be? Red? Nice girls sunbathing on the Black Sea shore. Right, there is Black Sea. Yes, there are nice girls. So what? What does it say about the system? They don't explain that only tiniest percentage of population can afford vacation like this. Nice smiling people. Sure, they're nice. We pre-selected them, KGB agents like myself. We found these people, we dressed them nicely. We told them what to say to Americans. This is how your journalists end up in Siberia talking to a nicely dressed Eskimo who speaks fluent English and plays a grand piano in the woods. And they pretend not to realize that the whole thing is a farce. Here, this is the Mother Russia picture I showed you on the slides. This is the Siberia, right? Here. Not a word about concentration camps, as if they don't exist. And here, it's an interesting parallel. This was published 17 years ago, right? Only last week in South Carolina, Siberian heaven. Would you imagine? This is one of your local newspapers. And who do I see? Boris Yurchenko, Novosti Press Agency photographer. But they don't explain it in your paper that this is KGB plan. They say AP photos. Do you understand what they're doing to you? They plant Soviet propaganda and they say Associated Press picture, Boris Yurchenko. Fortunately, I know who is Yurchenko. Siberian heaven. Well, you may deserve the same heaven if you misbehave. If you allow your media to lie to you people. Here, Russian furs, as if you can buy them in Russia. You can buy them here. These furs are being sold to you people for hard currency to get more your technology, to build more rockets, to aim at you. This is Russian fashions, as if Russian girls can buy these things. This picture, you don't realize what it is, but I will explain you. Look magazine editors think it's fun. It's photogenic. I think it's filthy, it's tactless, it's brutal. To put a call girl in Russian fur coat on top of Russian Orthodox Church, in a country where churches had been dynamited by Communist Party, where priests were lined up against the wall and machine gunned after the revolution, where majority of people are still struggling for religious freedoms. And if some of you are interested in that subject, there is a brochure. We made a movie in Los Angeles. It's called Candle in the Wind, Candle of Faith. Get yourself a free brochure and read what it is. If you're interested, you can contact the people who made this movie. In a country where religious people are still fighting for freedom to pray to God, they put a girl on the top of Russian Orthodox Church, probably the only one which is painted nicely to impress people like Billy Graham. And if it were one picture, I would say, well, it's a matter of personal opinion. No, the whole magazine is like this. More fashions. You see, they're obsessed with fashions. Russian caviar, champagne, vodka, caviar. Typical Russian breakfast. And finally, on some of the last pages, KGB. And you may say, aha, something critical. No, nothing doing. Here, I'll read you the first paragraph. KGB still reaches its tentacles around the world, probing for intelligence, recruiting spies, creating mischief. See? CIA, that's a different story. That's a dangerous bandits. But KGB is simply creating mischief. This is an example. We manipulated 12 American journalists, and this is the result. And believe me, there are hundreds more. Every day, every hour, they lie to you about my system. They lie to you that Russians are your enemies. They never mention that the same system is being introduced right now in your country by the same people who keep in power murderers of my nation. What you call that system is absolutely immaterial. You may call it welfare state, redistribution of wealth, big government, social programming, or scientific planning. It is the same thing. It starts with welfare check. It ends in concentration camps. The moment you delegate your individual freedom and responsibility to a bunch of bureaucrats, whether it is in Moscow or in Washington, D.C., this is the first step to self-destruction. But you don't realize it because you are too excited about Russians coming. When your media tries to explain to you that as long as there are talks between your bureaucrats and Comrade Gorbachev, there will be no war. It's a lie. The war goes on right now. As long as they keep on talking to murderers of my nation, there will be no peace, believe me. This is what happened. Now let me briefly, very briefly, do we have another 15 minutes? I'll briefly explain you, because I'm not sure whether you will read my booklet or not. What happens here is that the main objective of Soviet or communist system, including, of course, KGB, is not to destroy United States. Please, I implore you, don't listen to your peaceniks, friesniks, and schmizniks. Please use your brains, your good American common sense. If Soviet military destroys United States productive capability, maybe you'll explain me, where would they get their computers, technology, grain, billions of dollars of credit, jazz records, blue jeans, whiskey, which Comrade Andropov liked so much? Where would they get all these goodies? Okay, from Australia maybe. The main objective of communist movement is to slowly change the pattern of your society, slowly and painlessly. Meanwhile, they want to preserve your productive capability. If they are being reduced, well, maybe it's too bad. But basically, they want to maintain all the juices of your society. It's simply substituting the form of the government and structure of your economical system. That's all. The main objective of Soviet KGB is not to convince you that Marxism-Leninism is better. This type of idiocy appeals only to Martin Luther King's, Jesse Jackson's, and some political science professors. The main objective is slowly, painlessly turn you from an open society, which you are now, and it's open, you can love it or leave it, to a closed society, carbon copy of Soviet socialism. Why? Why would KGB want you to be similar to my society? You ever thought about it? No, of course, because your media doesn't explain it today. All right, I'll explain it to you. The reason for trying that is to merge into one global system. And you cannot join your society with my society overnight because they are incompatible. They do not match. Imagine if we join together right now for the sake of peace, equality, progress, whatever. Tomorrow Ronald Reagan says, my dear fellow Americans, from now on we are one country. You know what will happen? What will happen? Huh? Some Russians may enjoy it. They will defect to your country and disappear, as I said, in liquor stores. But you may not enjoy it when you see a tank in your backyard, when your cars will be nationalized and your children put in a military uniform, put in a formation, and, you know, I bet you will become very emotional. But it is possible to merge our two societies slowly by introducing this type of system which I described on page 18 in my booklet, and I hope some of you picked up the diagram on the table, which is called subversion process. By mistake it is entitled disinformation process, which is similar, of course. This is what happens. I reproduce this diagram graphically in a condensed abstract form. I do it for simplicity. The reality looks, of course, more complex. But this is the basics. You can write diagrams like this for yourself. All you have to do is to put what you see in chronological order. That's all. I put it this way, and I explain it, what I was learning from the Soviet instructors for 6 years in Moscow. Open society is yours. Closed is mine. We try to turn you into closed one to merge, right? They never make any secrets about it. And believe me, some of your elitist groups do the same. They also are talking about interdependent world economy, one world government. If you think I'm crazy, go to library, subscribe to a magazine which is called Foreign Affairs, published by Council on Foreign Relations. Or read the magazine which is entitled Trialogue, published by Trilateral Commission. Read the books by Brzezinski. They openly, cynically admit that, yes, their goal is interdependent, one global village, as Carl Sagan calls it. And of course, they don't explain you that probably millions, billions of people wouldn't mind to live in one world system if it were your system. Believe me, 270 Russians would mind to live in a free market capitalist system and have a form of government which is republic, like yours. Sure, they would like to do that. But the trick is, they want one global village, which is ruled by benevolent bureaucrats and scientists, doctors, Kissingers, Jane Fonda's, Daniel Ellsberg's, maybe Walter Mondale's. They will redistribute the wealth by force, naturally, okay? They will legislate equality and all other beautiful things. This is the trick. How to do it? Simple. We don't have to infiltrate agents into your governmental offices, and it is impossible. But we can infiltrate ideas into your minds through your media, through your educational system, through entertainment industry, through music even. Beatles, Schmittles, whoever. We, drop by drop, put poison into your minds. On this diagram, I select only one such idea, which is called egalitarianism. It is not new. It has not been invented by Russians, communists, or KGB. It is as old as mankind itself. No, not as old as mankind itself. Actually, the formulation of this egalitarian idea goes all the way back, I would say, French Revolution, when a group of intellectuals, who call themselves Illuminatis, decided that it is easier to control society if I convince all of you that you are equal. Meanwhile, I hope you realize that people are unequal. They never were equal. And God forbid will ever be. Some people are always tall, curly, and dumb. Others are short, bald, and smart.